Hey, this is Yazuki Wolf, and you're watching JapanQuest Episode 4. I think. Topic. Yes. And, today, we're going to be doing our episode with a little bit of suika. Suika is your word of the day. It means watermelon, and it is delicious. So let's go ahead and put that in our cup. Keeping in mind, this is actually not really the Japanese way of doing things. This is just the Yazuki Wolf way of doing things. This one's too big. You know what? I'm just gonna eat this one. So, the topic for the day is, well, at least it was. I'm not sure what I'll put up there, but it was reverse culture shock. What I was gonna do. My experience is coming back to America after being in Japan for half a year as a study abroad student. And now, I was gonna spend a whole video on this. I'm not sure if I will or not, but we'll see how the time works. I'm gonna try to kind of breeze over this pretty quickly because I feel like it's not all that necessary to like the focus of these videos. But anyways, when I came back to Japan, when I came back from Japan to America, you notice right away the difference between the sort of hospitality of people that you run into, like in service jobs or whatever. Like the moment you get off the plane, like when I got on the plane was a Japan Airlines, so it's a Japanese airline, and everyone was extremely polite. You know, everyone's serviced with a smile. They're always like they're going out of their way to take care of you. I guess if you haven't been in Japan before, to describe what the service is like in Japan, I guess I would have to say, like, if you ever worked for like a retail job or something, you probably can relate to this. But when you first start, you have this employee orientation thing, right? And basically, your orientation. In the orientation, they'll tell you, there'll be like a book or some type of like handbook that was made by the company, and they'll have like very specifically what they want you to do. Like they'll say, like, they want you to be able to they want you to always have a smile, always greet the customer, always have these very specific phrases you should be saying to them, like hello, how was your day today? Would you like to try our something service or whatever? And it's all very like scripted and like very polite phrases to use when you're talking to a customer, like how to deal with different situations. And generally, you read this book, you go through the orientation, then after you're done with the orientation, and you actually start the job, no one ever really pays any attention to what was written in that book. You know, you maybe you kind of try to sometimes say like things that was in there that the company wants you to, but for the most part, you just kind of do the work. You know, you ring customers up, you know, you do whatever you do. And you just get the work done. In Japan, and I can say this because I actually have worked in a retail job in Japan as well, they have that same book, except they follow it to the letter. Like, everyone really takes it pretty damn seriously. I mean, like, if you don't follow if you don't follow those rules, that guidebook, like, people actually like talk bad about you behind your back. They'll be like, "Man, this guy, he's not good at working. Like, like he's no good or something." So like it's very serious to them. So as a result of that, when you come to a store or something in Japan, they will almost always have they'll always greet you with a smile. They'll always be they'll be very hospitable. They'll go up above and beyond what you generally expect people to do for you. They'll do whatever they can to help you out. And you know, unlike in America or possibly other countries, like where if the person's having a bad day, you know it because they will like kind of growl at you, or they'll be pissed off of you. In Japan, you could be a complete jerk, and they will still smile and treat you with the utmost respect. So in general, what ends up happening is you'll go into a store in Japan and you'll be happy about whatever you purchased, whatever you bought. because like they just treat you with that much respect. And like, I mean, I bought a bicycle one time where like they escorted me they escorted me through like some elevator or something, and they took me to the exit of the building, and they like stood by the side of the entrance, and they like waited for me to get all the stuff ready, and got on top of my bike. And as I was going away, they're all like thanking me, and they do a very polite bow and everything. And it's just like the service here is really, I don't know if I want to say good, but it's yeah, I mean it's good in that sort of sense. I could go into more about ways that I don't think is as good, because in a way they are sort of like robotic. I mean, it's very specific about the way they treat you. It's kind of defined the way that they're going to talk to you and everything. So it's hard to like, you don't really get a lot of those kind of situations where you have or at least I had in America, where like I used to work at a bookstore in America, and like you'd have customers that you could come in and just have like short casual conversations with and stuff. In Japan, you don't really get that quite as much, because like there's very defined things that they're supposed to be saying to you whenever you're in any type of a customer relations type of situation. So there's kind of some stiffness in that area, but for the most part you never really, they don't do anything to make you feel like you generally feel good about your experiences shopping in Japan. I guess the best way to say it. And pretty much any sort of, if you're going on the airplane, like when I was in Japan Airlines on the way back, like they're very polite and very going above and beyond the call of service. And so then I get off at like, I was trying to transfer at some airport somewhere in the States, and immediately you get off, and there's like some, I don't remember, I think it was a guy, I can't remember, but like there's just like some big guy like just yelling at people like, "Hey guys, get over here, move, hey, what you doing?" And just like yelling at people. And it's like, what world is this? Where did I just come to? You know, it was like completely like what, you know? And then like I remember I was transferring, and I think like I forgot to take my shoes off or something at one of the like gates or something. I don't know what it was or something, but like, you know, in that sort of situation, usually in Japan, the way that it would go down is probably the person behind the counter or behind the check, whatever that everything's called, is they'd like come up and they'd be like, "Oh, like they'd be very like, I don't know, like they'd be very apologetic, and they'd say like, "Oh, we're really sorry for the inconvenience, but do you think you can do this or something?" And they never really make it sound like it's your fault, even if it really is your fault. Like you just you just completely forgot something or whatever. They always make it sound like they're like you're in the right, you know. Like, and they just want to like, "Do you think you could do this for us? Like, it would be really helpful if you do this or whatever." Like it's very polite form of Japanese. But the response that I had in America when I forgot to put my shoes on there is like the guy just like stared at me, and he was like, I don't remember the exact words he said, but it was something like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm trying to get checked out or something." He's like, "Why do you have your shoes on?" And I was like, "Was I supposed to take my shoes off?" And it's like, "Yeah, get over there, take your shoes off or something." It's like, "Oh, okay," you know. It's like, and I actually ended up having a lot of situations like that while I was in America, because I think a lot of times it could be a thing, because when you're in Japan, and you know, especially with me being like this white guy, like they generally don't expect you to know all the rules. So if you don't know something, like they're generally pretty apologetic and hospitable about it. But in America, you know, especially since I hadn't been in America for a while, and I kind of forgot how a lot of things worked in America. And that was only over after like half a year in Japan. So if I went back now, I don't even know what it would be like. But yeah, like because you kind of forget the way that you do things, and you look like you should know. Like people kind of expect you to know, and they get angry at you for not knowing sometimes. And like I guess that's something that you kind of get used to in Japan, where like people always give you the benefit of the doubt, you know, that even if you don't understand something, they're going to explain it to you. They're going to be right there with you, getting you through whatever you need to do. While when I was in America, there's really kind of, I don't know, almost like arrogance that you should know. Why don't you know? You know, and I'm not really kind of criticize America or anything, because like I said, there's bad points to Japan too, and I could go into a lot of those. Like, don't get me wrong, like, when I first came to Japan, like, I thought Japan was, like, paradise, but after living here 8 years, no, there's a lot of things that I could really criticize about Japan. So don't think like I'm just like some Japan fanboy or something. If you want me to go off on Japan, I could go off on Japan. I try not to do that too much because I know that a lot of people who haven't been here before they're still in that sort of like honeymoon phase where Japan just looks like this beautiful place. Or even people who have been here. If you've only been here for like a month or 2-3 months, you're still in this like honeymoon phase where Japan seems like just this great like paradise. It takes a while before you kind of get into the nitty and gritty of things. But anyway, so I'm not really trying to criticize one culture or the other. I'm just kind of going through what my experiences were. And I don't want to spend too much time on that. But let's take a quick break to spice up our suika with a little sake. Yep, that should do it. Now, that's the way to eat your watermelon. That's some good watermelon. So, where was I? Alright, so, I went back to America. I'm going to try to make this fairly quick, but I was in America for a year. And I spent that year pretty much just trying to figure out how I could get back to Japan. I applied for a couple different jobs as like English teacher and stuff to get to work over here. And a lot of them didn't really work out. Big thing was that I wasn't Genki enough. Like I really not like. There's a sort of image of English teachers here that they're very like upbeat and like happy and like a very kind of generic American or like foreigner type. I keep saying America because I'm American. I know some of you may not be from America, but like it's just this general foreign image that English teachers have. And I was a lot more like laid back and I actually had English teaching experience, and that's the thing. It's like when I went to the interviews and I would do it the way that I would actually teach an English class in Japan, because I know that you don't have to be this like complete commercial type guy to teach English, but the interviews, people that did the interviews were generally looking for that sort of like perfect image of a guy, of an English teacher type guy or whatever. So, but anyways, that didn't really matter because that really wasn't I really wasn't that big on becoming an English teacher anyways, even though I did do that for a while. I gotta figure out a way to be a little bit less distracted on these. But so, I kept studying Japanese while I was in America. I had a good friend who I met here in Japan that I kept in touch with on Skype. I called her almost every day while I was in Japan. And I think I owe a lot of my Japanese ability to her, because if I wasn't talking to her for that year, like I probably would have forgot a lot of my Japanese. But you know, being able to talk to her every day, use my Japanese even when I was in America, was pretty great. And now you may have noticed that I said her, but I have to specify that it wasn't my girlfriend. I actually didn't get a girlfriend in Japan for a very long time, and that's partly because of some stupidity on my part, where I decided that it would be smarter for me to not pursue any relationships with people for the first 2 years or so while living in Japan, because I thought like it would be better to prioritize getting to know the culture first before I tried to get into any relationships. That actually really isn't that good logic, because actually getting into relationships would be a very good way to get accustomed to the culture and everything. And it, you know, I think it was kind of some misplaced fear that I had that psychologically it would be better for me not to get involved with someone for a while or something. I don't know. And that brings me to the next topic that I don't want to go too much into, and you tell me in your topics if you want me to go more into it or not. But so after that year in America, the way I finally did come back to Japan is I got a job as a sort of a English teacher slash Christian missionary, where I taught English in actually sort of Korean type schools in Japan, and it's hard to describe exactly those because they aren't really like North Korean. They were schools that Koreans who had lived and grown up in Japan, about third generation Koreans, and they had come to Japan before there really was a North or South Korea. It was just Korea, Chosen. And then what happened is then there was the war, the Korean War and everything, and North Korea wanted to gain support from Japan or something, so they gave them money to get these schools made. So a number of schools were made based on the support of North Korea. So some people often call them North Korean schools, but they really aren't North Korean schools. They call themselves Chosengakko, which means basically a Korean school. A Korean not meaning south, not north or south, neither one. While if generally the Japanese word for South Korea would be Kangoku, they don't use that word. They say Chosen, which is the old word for Korea, and they also don't say Kita Chosen. Kita Chosen would be North Korea. So that's a good distinction, because one time I think we went to an event or something, and someone actually put welcome North Korean schools, and like our principal was actually kind of pissed off about that, because he's like, no, we're not a North Korean school. So people may argue with me if they see this or whatnot, and some people had some issues with like one of the videos I put up in the past showing my experiences in that school. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend looking into my archives. I think it's like Tokyo Korean School or something is the name of the title of the video. But it was a really great experience, and so I went there to kind of teach English, and also I was sponsored by a South Korean church. So it was also sort of like a missionary type position, and that leads me to the root of it, is that at that time I was a pretty serious Christian, and to the point where saying that I was a strong believer is actually kind of putting it lightly. I took it extremely serious, and that was part of the reason why I wouldn't get in a relationship with a girl who did not have the same beliefs and so forth. I don't really want to go too much into that, because I don't really want these videos to be about religion. I want it to be more about Japan and my experiences in Japan and everything. So if you want to hear more about that, let me know. But if not, I'm probably just going to leave it here that I had a long period in my life where I was very dedicated to the Christian religion and to Christianity. I know some people say there's a difference between religion and Christianity, but either way, I was very dedicated to Christianity, and that ended a few years ago. So as of right now, I'm an atheist. I'm not going to make that a big issue in my videos. So if you happen to have a Christian belief or any other type of religious belief, please feel free to watch my videos. I'm not going to try to push anything down your throat saying like you're wrong or anything like that. But just so everyone knows, like, yeah, that's where I came from, and that is it. And since I was so serious into that, into those beliefs, like that had a lot of effect about the course that my life went. A lot of the reason why I didn't become like a professional artist in the time frame that I could have was because I would spend a lot of my time pursuing a career as a pastor or as a pastor and or missionary. And so so that kind of was a big thing for me then, and it also explains why I didn't have any real serious relationships with Japanese girls for a while, living in Japan. And then going back to the whole thing about like spending 2 years before you get accustomed to the culture, that was a big mistake, because probably in those first 2 years that I was in Japan, I met more people in those first 2 years in Japan than I've met in the next 6. So I think it's better to just try to meet people. Like don't put those restrictions on yourself like I did. I kind of regret that. I think there was a lot of possibilities that I kind of like let go by the wayside because of that. But so anyways, I think that's basically all I have to say about the reverse culture shock. I was like I say, like when I came to America, seeing like the big streets and stuff was kind of cool. It's like, wow, this place is really wide and really like there's a lot of space here, like stuff that I didn't notice before, and then like having not the thing about having a car and not having a car. Like when I was back in America, like I actually knew I was coming back to Japan, so so I sold my car. But living in America without a car was actually it was pretty tough. I had to walk a lot, ride my bike to work and stuff. Whereas in Japan, I couldn't imagine myself ever buying a car, because you don't need it. It's completely superfluous. It's like a status symbol, basically. I mean, it depends. Like, I mean, I have to clarify that there are some people that have jobs that they actually need to have a car at. But But if you don't need to have a car for your work or something, you don't really need it. Like I could go. I've traveled all throughout Japan without a car. You know, you could go pretty much anywhere you want using the trains, because the trains are like amazing. They go anywhere and everywhere. So, yeah. So I think that's about all I have to say about time I spent in America. So, you know, like I mentioned, the whole Christianity thing. I've tried to let most of the people that I used to know that I kind of like gave up those beliefs. If you happen to be someone who knew me back then and hadn't heard that I had left those beliefs behind, and you want to know why, if you want to get more, if you want to like talk to me personally, go ahead and send me a mail or whatever, and I'll go ahead and tell you like exactly like what it was that led me to give those beliefs up. But like I said, I don't really want this particular channel to be about religious debates or anything, so I don't really want to put anything more on that here. But so then, moving on for next week, we'll see here. We went back to America, so I guess next week would be me coming back to Japan. I suppose I could talk about my time working as an English teacher, / missionary. But I don't think it's really that important. Maybe I'll just kind of like skim over that real quick, and then after that we'll go into. Okay, we'll do both of that next week. So next week we'll talk about my my working as an English teacher within like the Korean schools, and my decision to quit that job and then pursue an artistic career and go into the manga university and everything, the manga and game university. So I'm not sure what the title of that will be, but we'll figure something out for next week or next time. I definitely haven't been doing this weekly, but try to do it more often now, maybe bi-weekly or something. But anyways, that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and see you again. Yoroshiku.